How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's mobility video. Today we are focusing on the hips, and we are going to focus mostly on opening up the anterior tissues, working on the adductors, as well as working on internal and external rotation. I put some captions in these videos to give reminders of cues and things to focus on in all these drills. Now, this drill here is called the couch stretch. It's a very intense stretch. However, slowly work into it. You'll notice here that I'm shifting forward. That's to ease off some of that tension and stretch on the rectus femoris, which is what this really tackles. However, you can also get into the psoas if you were to raise the hand of the side that you were stretching. But this is a very good stretch to do for about roughly 45 to 60 seconds. Or you can do it how I do it in repetitions and do it for about roughly a 15-second hold and slowly move in and out. Now here, we're going to focus on the psoas. Now I had a video of doing it standing. However, I was outside of the frame, so I took that video out. However, the mechanics and the movements are still the same here. I'm focusing on keeping a posterior pelvic tilt, squeezing my glute, shifting my hips forward. But as I'm shifting my hips forward, I'm actually not hinging forward. My spine follows suit over the hips in order to achieve that stretch on that particular drill. And this next one here, I'm focusing on the adductors. Now, with this one here is really important to keep an anterior pelvic tilt, almost like you're arching your lower back and sitting the hips back here. You'll notice here that I'm kind of dropping my torso down towards the floor. That's to facilitate a greater stretch on the adductors. This one's really good to do if you have tight adductors or if you're a runner. This is a really good warm-up drill, particularly before doing squats as well. This next drill right here is working on external rotation and stretching the glute. The reason why I like this one here is because it's not a huge movement. However, it is very effective at tackling the glute. Just like with the adductor stretch, hinging your torso down towards the floor allows for a greater stretch on that hip and allows for a greater facilitation of opening up that hip and external rotation. For working on the hamstrings, personally, I like to add tension into my hamstring drills. And so with this one here, you'll notice that I'm keeping a really tall spine, making sure I'm keeping that anterior tilt to pre-stretch those hamstrings. So when I go to extend my knee, I'm now focusing on contracting my quad in order to get a good stretch on that hamstring. This one you want to do for about roughly a 5 to 10 second hold. Do it in repetitions, maybe for about 5 cycles will be a really good recommendation for this drill here. On this 90-90 drill, you'll notice that initially I actually rotate my spine or my torso towards the lead leg, and I do that as a way to kind of warm up. But as I actually start to go through the drill, I stop rotating my torso as much. When you rotate your torso towards your front leg, it doesn't get as much internal hip rotation. And the focus of this one for me is working on that internal hip rotation. So dropping, or rather driving that knee down towards the floor as much as I can while also keeping my torso or my chest facing forward or in line with my center line of my hips for the most part. Focusing on your breathing is really important. Deep, slow breaths, but also moving into those ranges nice and slow, taking your time and trying to keep your torso upright is going to make this stretch or movement very effective. This next drill here is a kettlebell weight shift. I am personally a huge fan of this. This is really good for not only opening up the hips, but also stretching out those adductors. A real big key point is to make sure that you are actually driving that outside knee back in order to actually abduct and open up the hips and get a really good stretch on the adductors. I tend to add this drill in before my squat days. This allows me to kind of get a little bit deeper into those squats, not having as tight of adductors. This last drill here is the Copenhagen Plank. I really like this one for strengthening the adductors specifically. Not everybody needs to stretch the adductors, but some people need to strengthen. Now you can do this in a isometric hold, or you can do it in repetitions like I did here. And you can either do it from a knee bent position, or you can also do it from a straight leg position like here. This is good to incorporate 1 or 2 days a week, particularly if you have adductor issues. But I hope this video was helpful. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.